Yes, we are on session 9 today. Go ahead, George, with your question.
Okay, so the question is, so you and your partner getting ready to take the field, on-field umpiring, take the field, and then just before crossing over the boundary, and you both say, "Hey, I don't want to go to that end." Now you're in deadlock, so you have to both each of you have to take each end. So how do you decide who goes to what end if you don't agree on the
See,
ends?
what I do generally is that we speak about this even before we step onto the field. This is one of the things we talk about when we meet first thing on the day of the match. And what end? I always leave the choice to my colleague. What end will you prefer to go at? Now, whether he is junior or senior, he might say that, oh, sir, you're the senior and your choice. And I said, no, look, forget about senior and junior. I'm leaving the choice to you. And I do that always. Always did that rather. And there shouldn't be such a dispute. And it should be resolved right in the beginning itself. Uh, I suggest you do that always. Offer him his choice. I have never had a preference about the ends, though I might have felt that maybe I'd be happier with sometimes sun glare and all that various factors. But I've always offered the choice to my colleagues. There shouldn't be such a deadlock on the field. Frankly, I'll tell you, George, there shouldn't be. If you're yourself willing to be a little flexible, the other guy also will. So I
Okay.
suggest you do that
Yeah, what
before the
I
start.
think we had a discussion earlier. I mean, I think Bridge agreed with also the what we do just to not even get into that stage, right? What we do is we do a bail toss. So I pretend to be taller all the time, although I'm not all the time. But one of us, whoever's the taller, if the taller end of the bail, the points to that direction, the taller umpire will go there, and the shorter
Okay.
end, yeah, shorter person will go to the shorter end.
All right.
That's what, yeah. So that discussion, we do it even before, crossing the boundary. So we
Okay.
do that, then we figure out who's standing which side, and then we go stand and then walk in that same direction, and
Yes, yes.
then yeah. I was just curious as to if there's a different practice in India.
No, no. This is the thing we followed, and we decide this in advance. One of the things that we were taught from by Mr. Mamsa was that you decide on your own, and then you leave the field accordingly. The two of you
Right. Okay.
leave the field. The two of you, one on the left. If the boundary, the wicket is straight, and the pavilion is here, I this fellow will go to the near end and I go to the far end. We leave like that. Having once you have decided in advance, then you leave like that, and both of you shouldn't be crossing each other when you go out. You go out
Right.
in such a manner that you don't have to cross each other. Like if the pavilion is sideways and the wicket is like this, one wicket here and one wicket here, you move out in such a fashion that you go towards one end and then you split and no
Right.
crossover. We would suggest that no crossover. But then this is something you should be deciding in advance. I suggest you do it to avoid this kind of a problem. Now, if Bridge says that there is a thumb rule to be followed, if people are not too agreeable about this, if they have figured out the thumb rule, no problem in following it. No problem in following it.
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't even. Yeah, I'm okay getting away with the. I mean, doing away with the bail if someone buys me a few drinks in the after the game.
Yeah.
But bail is what we use.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is the way of settling it. But
Right. Right.
frankly, I have never encountered a problem throughout my career. Nobody has been adamant, and because I have been always ready to give way. All right, you have a preference, it is your choice. So I give you the end of your choice. So that is the way I dealt with it throughout my career. That I never found any this a problem at all. So if you are
Right.
ready to give way yourself, so there isn't anything really. There isn't it. I was a junior at one time, and my seniors used to do that to me. What end will you go to, Mr. Singh? I'll take that, sir. I leave the choice to you, I would try to say, but then sometimes the senior would, when I was a junior, he would insist. Then I would make a choice. But otherwise, then I became senior and all that. I always used to offer it to my colleagues. Take the end of your choice, and I'll take what's left. This is the
Oh,
way I
good.
do. Okay. So interesting question, though.
Yeah.
Uh, but do you remember I shared early an ICC communication which said that in case there is a dispute about who is to which end the batsman is to play, then I will decide which end we are going to bowl, which bowler is going to bowl. All of
Yeah.
that has also happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of that has also happened in good ICC level cricket. And the ICC said, "Oh, no, this is going to be the taking the field protocol. That the umpires will go and take their ends, respective ends. The fielding side will follow, uh, decide which end they are bowling from, and the bowler who's going to bowl, and then the batters will come in and take the ends based on what is the field status, like that. So these kinds of things do happen. These things do happen. Yes. So thank you very much for your patience. You've been very patient. We lost almost half an hour. So, what about the questions? Did you people attempt it? The answers that you got from me, any issues with those answers? Anything arising from that? Anything arising from those answers, or would you prefer to apply your minds and we can discuss them on the coming Tuesday if you want it that way? Yes?
Yeah. I
Or,
looked at them. They look pretty good. I mean, I had few incorrect, but they were pretty
no, but
good.
generally, but you're all right with all the basic rules that are there. You're okay with all that.
Yes, I am.
Yes, yes. Anybody else had an issue with any of the questions? Anything that requires further explanation? Anything that might require further explanation, you think? Yes, I had provided the answers for the uh, minimum
Evening,
overs
sir.
problem. Yes, yes, yes. Somebody wants to say something?
Sir, I am Shritab Shikhar.
Pardon?
Uh, sir,
Yes,
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 yes.
Shatab. Yes, tell me.
Sir, I was asking that in the answer we are writing 5 balls, 7 overs, right? Like this
Correct,
one
correct,
ball, 13
correct.
overs, like.
Right.
Suppose, sir, if in the last hour inning ends at like 6 over 6.3 overs,
Okay.
and then when we are calculating like आंसर जब हम कैलकुलेट करेंगे सर उसमें तो ये नहीं लिखेंगे सर कि हमने इतने बॉल्स खिलाने हैं लाइक अब
नहीं 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 उसमें तो देखो इनिंग्स ऑलवेज स्टार्ट विद अ फ्रेश ओवर नो
राइट सर
when
राइट
an when an innings ends there is no question.
राइट सर
There is no question of a part over. So it will always be say 7 overs or 7 complete overs. You will not play any part over. Any fresh innings cannot start. It is only when there is an interruption and the rains have come in the middle of an over that you will have the answer part over 3 balls and 7 overs. And
या
during our time, examiners used to insist that the answer should be written in this way: 3 balls, 7 overs, because 3 balls are coming first chronologically. They'll be bowled first, and then you will be bowling the 7 overs. So that is how they wanted it. All right. Okay. Shall we go on with this? If there is any question about these the examples that I have given, if you have any, you can always raise a query on WhatsApp also, and we'll discuss it. I'll raise it. Shubhda, any issues with those problems?
No, sir. No, sir.
No problem.
No, sir.
Okay, that is good. Sharik, आपने भी attempt किया?
No, sir, I have not attempted. Sorry, but I will be
Yeah, do
attempting it
that.
soon to
Do
get
that.
the
Do that. Do that, and have a look. Compare your
Yes,
answers, and
sure.
absolutely fine. What about you,
Yes.
Tejas?
Okay.
What about you, Tejas?
Uh, Not yet, sir, but I have just viewed the
Do that.
questions. Yeah,
So
I'll
please
see.
do that. See first you go through the rules that have we have discussed in that session, that particular session. where I pointed out to certain things, so that all those issues will be clear to you from those examples. That is the whole intention.
Sure.
Kabir, we'd like you to speak a little more.
Yes, sir.
Yes? Okay, great. Have you attempted these questions?
Yes, sir. I've tried that.
Yes. And
Many wrong answers, but
no problem. Try them, and because see, the idea is that you will get familiar with the rules. In fact, nowadays you're taken up scoring, so you will be able to guide the umpire also, and the scorer also needs to know some of these things.
yes,
Why
sir.
the
I'm
umpire?
also kind of observing them throughout the
Yes,
match.
yes.
So I've been trying to see that if they're making any mistakes or like if there are some
which is which
pressure
is not the
cards.
role of the scorer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
He can do that. Knowledge is always important, and this is the part of the thing, the laws that most scorers also need to know. It is necessary that you should also be making your own calculations and checking with the umpires, yes, that they are fine. And we appreciate the help of scorers sometimes because you are coolly sitting out of the sun, and maybe we might in haste make a mistake, but you can always correct us. All right.
Yes, sir.
So we'll go
So,
on with
sir, in my last
yes,
match, while I was
yes.
scoring, the umpires they were quite relying on the screen outside the um,
Relying on whom?
they were relying on the scorecard which
Uh-huh.
was displayed on the screen.
Okay, okay. For what purposes?
So it was not working well.
Acha.
So they were keep on asking us to like fix that the batsman score is not right or the bowling figures of the bowler is not right. So we told
Okay.
them that the screen is not working well.
Hmm.
So but I saw that they were relying on that too much.
Acha, acha. Okay. See, when I umpired in this RSWS tournament, which was live and there was a count of number of balls was there. Now, I found that very often the person operating it would be off. So number of over, number of deliveries and all that, I think it is best for the umpires not to rely on that, have your counter and not to rely on what the stat is shown there. 26 over, 4 balls and all that. If you rely on that, you might miscount. I do not know if that is the reason that we have had some recent miscounts when the umpires don't rely on their counter and keep looking at the scoreboard. Now there is somebody there, the scorers may be efficient, but somewhere somebody operating the scoreboard, the statistical part, there is another statistical part there. Somebody operating that might not be up to the mark and then it will land you in trouble. I found that to happen quite often during that series, road safety World Series. I found that happening. So we used to, even during our time, we used to always count because at that time, even the third umpire was not uh, given the role of keeping count of the number of deliveries and all that and interfere with it. The law used to be that the overs will stand as counted, but it is all right to have somebody help you. But despite that, people are miscounting, which is a little surprising. Three people keeping count and still miscounting is a bit of a problem then. All right, something is wrong somewhere. Okay, now coming to law 16 point, we were here up to we discussed these questions about the result, when a result is arrived at, and what are the different types of results which are there. One odd one was awarding a match. I gave you that example of what happened to me. My case was extreme, involving a person of that stature. It could come be with you, happen with you on a smaller scale. But whenever it happens that you have to take action against a player, you must. One of the things I always stress is you should never be wrong on procedure. Nobody could touch us because we were not wrong on procedure. In fact, everybody could see us making placatory gestures, and we gave him rope and he went on and doing it. And we gave him ample scope to correct himself. So everybody knew it that we did, and there is always one should never act in haste. Is what I always advise you. Never act in haste. You can forgive a little. Make sure that you tell him that look, I'm not going to allow you to have. Though a warning wasn't necessary as per the rules, a warning isn't necessary at all. Okay. So umpires awarding a match was one prominent thing where the procedure was clear. No appeal is required, remember, and the time lost in the investigation, in case he comes in place, is to be adjusted on the very day itself. And now coming to winning hit of extras, another problem that is happening today is this screen disappears. Winning hit or extras. Uh, Law 1661, as soon as a result is achieved, this is a statement you must remember. As soon as a result is achieved, the match is at an end. The match is at an end. Nothing that happens after that will count in the match. That is why once a no ball is bowled, it is they are equal on equal scores. And once a no ball is called, a no ball is bowled and called, the match is over. The any other thing there won't count. Similarly, when a wide occurs, when a wide is called, the hit wicket and stumps won't count, though they are allowed. Scores are equal on the call of wide immediately. Though the wide call, as you will know, is made always later, a little later. The wide call is made a little later, but the call is effective from the time the bowler enters into his delivery stride. So therefore, that is deemed to have happened first. That is deemed to have happened first. Therefore, uh, the stump and the wicket, the hit wicket, don't count of the wide of that particular delivery. All right. Now, winning as a result as defined, anything that happens thereafter shall not be regarded as part of the match, except now look at the exceptions as a result of a mistake in scoring. We will discuss this uh, because we can restart a match if we discover a mistake in scoring, and as in law 17.2 penalty runs, 41-17-2 penalty runs. uh, I will discuss this in a minute. These two exceptions we will discuss here. Now the side batting last will have scored enough runs to make only we know what a win is. The number of runs have to exceed. But this will not include any runs completed by batter before the completion of a catch or the obstruction of a catch. We know. Uh, Imagine a situation where the ball has been hit up in the air and the two batsmen have already crossed. One run was required to win. One run was required to win. They have already crossed. Now, this run is not to be counted towards the total because if the catch was taken, this run wouldn't count. So therefore, you have to wait to see what happens to that particular catch. And the catch will be valid and the run will not count. Similarly, for a catch being obstructed, the ball has been hit in the air, and both things can happen. Either a catch is taken or an obstruction of a catch takes place by either batsman. In which case, in both these cases, the run doesn't count. So the law tells us that this particular run in these two circumstances, you have not to count it towards the total. It is only after the action is completed and the batsman is not dismissed that run will count and then the match is over. I think this is clear to us. This is common sense that this is what will happen. Uh, Otherwise, runs which are scored. Now, the batting side cannot tell you that we have crossed over, the match is over. So, and if the catch is taken, we very well know that if the catch is taken, no run will be scored. So, these are the two things where in both these cases, no runs will be scored. Therefore, you are not to count it towards the total of that side till the action is over. Okay. If a boundary is scored before the batters have completed sufficient runs to win the match, the whole of the boundary allowance shall be credited to the side hit to the striker's score. Now, if you remember that match we had with Pakistan, they where Kohli scored in the last over and all that. And the last stroke was hit by Ashwin. They were tied. Ashwin hit the last ball and he crossed over. He had crossed over for 1 run before the ball went to the boundary. Therefore, 1 run was counted for the innings and for his total. The boundary wasn't counted. We know very well that once a hit has been made or the run goes away for buys, leg buys or whatever, and if the number of runs, the match is over before the boundary, ball reaches the boundary, so that boundary won't be counted. This is in consonance with this statement here. As soon as a result is achieved, the match is at an end. So naturally, when the match is over, uh, the boundary will not count. But if sufficient runs are not scored, then the boundary will count. We have seen this happen very often. We have seen this happen very often. Now, I told you here, except anything that happens thereafter shall not be regarded as part of the match except as a result of penalty runs or as a mistake of scoring. Now, what does this mean as a result of penalty runs? This denotes that penalty runs can be awarded even after a match is over. Even after a match is over, penalty runs can be awarded uh, to the side. Now, and that is why look at here. Uh, the statement of the result also carries a statement that a win by penalty runs. This never used to be there. Normally, it is a win is by a number of wickets or number of runs. If the side batting last wins the match without losing all of it, right, we know it that they are 7 down when they cross the total, so they have won by 3 wickets. Similarly, a win by runs when the side fielding last wins the match. That means the batting side is short by so many runs to score. So the fielding side wins by if they are 17 runs short, then the fielding side wins by 17 runs. That is how we state the result. But whenever a result is changed by means of awarding penalty runs, then it can't be either A or B. So it has to be by win by penalty. I'll give you an example. Uh, the side batting side has won their in a match, so to say, or how do we have it? Yes, the fielding side has won their match. The fielding side has got the team all out and has won the match, and there's a celebration and all. And but when the ball comes back to you, you see that the ball is damaged and has been damaged. You conclude that it has been damaged by the fielding side, or there is unacceptable damage to the ball, to the condition of the ball, and you decide to award 5 penalty runs. You go in, tell the scorer that 5 penalty runs will be awarded to the fielding side, will be awarded to the batting side. The fielding side has won perhaps by only 2 runs. Now, as a result of the award of the 5 penalty runs, it is now the batting side which has won. Now, batting side has no wicket standing, so it can't be a win by wickets, number of wickets. So, the law now makes a provision that this is to be stated as a win by penalty runs. A third method, which wasn't there during our time, it has come about only after penalty runs were started. After penalty runs were started, the lawmaker said the penalty runs have to be awarded to the side which is it must always be awarded. Now I'll take you to one portion of the law. Have a look at law 42.17 for a second. 41.17 rather. Read only this. Penalty run shall be awarded in each case where the law requires the award. These are instructions to the umpires that no no person who has committed a crime goes away without punishment. The penalty runs are awarded if in case of major issues only. He's committed a crime. He should not. He should not be allowed to escape. Now we don't care who wins or who loses, but under these instructions, I am supposed to always allow 5 penalty runs if I have seen an offense. Always. And they go on to say, even if a result has already been achieved, and there's a cross reference to 16.6, even if a result has already been achieved. So therefore, even after a result has been achieved, I go there and award 5 penalty runs. Not because it is going to change the score. I award 5 penalty runs, I will make my report because always these are followed by a report and further action if required against the guilty party. But remember, as a general rule, this part, you know this part, read the rest. Penalty run shall be awarded in each case where the law requires the award. These are absolutely clear instructions to the umpire. Don't let that person escape. He has to be given, the side has to be given a penalty, or the opposite side has to be awarded a penalty, and you have to make the report. This is what law 42.17 says. And as a result, if the result is also changed, then you will state the result as a win by penalty run. So that this is contrary to our general statement, which says that as soon as a result is reached, the match is at an end. Anything that happens thereafter shall not be regarded as a part of the match, except in the case of penalty runs being awarded. Then those count as part of the match. Even though you have come and given the penalty, awarded the penalty after the match was over. You have done that. So this is an exception that we have discussed. The other exception is a mistake in scoring. Now, correctness of any decision as we'll come to that. Any decision as to the correctness of the score shall be the responsibility of the umpires. Of course, finally we'll be responsible and we will give a final verdict on it. The scorers, right, do the scoring and all that. We don't go into the nitty gritty of the scoring. Now, mistakes in scoring. If after the players and umpires have left the field, in the belief that the match has been concluded. Now, the two lives have, either way, the match has been concluded. The umpires discover that a mistake in scoring has occurred. Two scorers come running to you while you are changing, and the result of the match is affected. The two scorers come to you, sir. There is a mistake in the scoring. Actually, the result, which was for the batting side winning by 2 wickets, 1 or 2 wickets, they still require 3 runs to win. They still require 3 runs to win. The result is changed. Now, the question is whether you will restart the match to play or not. Under what circumstances will you restart the match? Remember, we discussed this conclusion of the match. We discussed that a match is concluded conclusion of a match. A match is concluded in cases where a result is not urgent when, as soon as both the minimum number of overs for the last hour are completed and the agreed time for close of play is reached. Now, on this basis, if one of the two is left, then you can resume the match. If either overs or time is left, either of them, for conclusion, if both are over, then you can't resume that match at all. You cannot resume that match at all. But if one of the two is still left, still not done, then you can uh, resume the match. I've overshot this thing. Now, let me give you an example. We are on the last day of the match, and uh, last day of the match, and the time is, say, closing time is 5 o'clock. You are at 5:02, and you are at 5:02 when the match is concluded, and you are bowling the 19th over. Bowling the 19th over. 18 balls and 2 deliveries left. 18 balls and 2 deliveries left. Now, the match is concluded. We go in saying that the batting side has won the match, and the two scorers come to us and say, no, that is not the case. We still have 3 runs more to make. There was a mistake discovered in the scoring. Now, the law says that either the number of overs to be bowled in the last hour or the innings limited by overs has not been completed. We ignore that innings not completed, or the agreed time for close of play has not been reached. Then the umpire shall order play to resume. Now here there is a cross reference to conclusion of the match. Uh, so in this particular case, which I am telling you, at 5:02 this happens. You have 1 over and 4 deliveries yet to be bowled. 1 over and 4. So you at the minimum overs are not finished. So you will come back and play. You will come back and play. Uh, uh, you are basically returning the match. You will have do nothing about the time. The when the umpires step out again, they shall inform all concerned that the number of overs and time remaining shall be taken as they were as at the call of time or the supposed conclusion of the match. Let us look at another example. It is 4:55 p.m. and 20 overs are already bowled. 20 overs are already bowled. You are bowling the 21st. And this happens. The match is concluded. You go in. The scorers come and tell you. You had, when you were left, you had 5 minutes yet to be played. You had 5 minutes yet to be played. You will come back and return the game to that same situation that we have got to play 5 minutes more. Now there are times uh, where sometimes the side which is to field, there are the batting side has 2 runs to make and they've got say 7 wickets in hand. The fielding side may concede the match. They are allowed to do that. But if they don't concede, then you have to come back and play. Now suppose there is a situation where both time is left and overs are left. You are at 4:55 p.m. and he has bowled 18 overs are bowled. 4:55 p.m. match is over last hour. When you come back, you will return the match to the original situation of 2 overs left and 5 minutes left. That is how you will have to act. But remember, either one of the two has to be left. Either both will be left, or overs left are left and time is over, or time is over and overs are left. Either way. So in all these situations, you will come and resume. No account shall be taken of the time between that moment and the resumption of play. Uh, if the result is not achieved, play will reach sooner. Suppose they do not make those runs. Play will continue as in the normal circumstances. If conditions until the prescribed number of overs has been completed and either time for close of play has been reached or the allotted time for the innings has expired as the case may be, as may be appropriate. So you have to ensure you will play till both time and overs are completed as you would have done normally. As you would have done normally, you would do the same thing again here. All right. Now, suppose at this call of time, your first call of time at 4:05 or 4:55 or whatever, the overs have been completed and no playing time remains. All right, not for 4:55, whatever time. The overs have been completed and no playing time remains. And if the side batting complete has completed the innings, the umpire shall immediately. These are circumstances where you cannot resume, where both time and overs are completed. and when you have called time. Suppose this happened at 5:02 of the last ball of the 20th over. Last ball of the 20th over. No time is left, no overs are left. You can't resume. Alright? And also, if the side batting last has completed with the innings, because no batsman can come out to play. No batsman can come out to play. You can't resume. Even if the time is left or the overs are left, side is out. Who will you tell them? Who will you send in? Who will come into bat? You cannot. So therefore, that is another situation where even though there is time left or overs left or both left, the umpire shall immediately inform they cannot resume. So therefore, the umpires will simply say, tell them, in such a situation, we can't carry this match to its proper conclusion. Uh, we are changing the score and calling it a draw now. Say, for example, the side is out and they are supposedly, the fielding side is supposedly won by, say, 2 runs, won by 2 runs, and they discover a mistake in the scoring, and the batting side score is further reduced. Batting side score is perhaps increased, then it becomes a draw or whatever. So that kind of a thing, uh, when the side is out, you have to change the you. What is left for you to do is simply to change the result of the match. It will become a draw in that case, or a win by another person, like that. Otherwise, you can't resume play. There is no way you can resume play. So remember that the basic thing for you to decide where for you, which will you need to check whether either over or time is left. Only then you can play, and also that the side batting last is not all out. If that is the case, then there is no batsman coming into play. All right. Now here, give me a second. Okay. Now, is this clear to you? All right. Is this clear when you will resume and when you will not resume? Any questions on this? Mistakes in scoring. Yes. Here it is. If one side concedes defeat, play shall not resume. Are we clear about this, please? Or will anything bear repetition? Tell me. Anything that is not clear? Yes? Hello? Anything that is not clear here, please respond. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? So, shall I go on?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, I'll just repeat that the basic idea is since the match is if either the overs or time is left, one of the two is left, you have to come back and play. It is always open to one of the sides, depending on the situation, to concede defeat. Then you will not come in. They say, all right, you've got 2 runs to make and 8 wickets in hand. Let's not take the trouble, all of us getting re-kitted and coming out and playing again. Let's not do it. That is one option. But if there is, say, only 1 wicket left, 4 balls to go, they might take a chance. Yes, all right, 2 runs to make, another 2 runs to 3 runs to make. So they will come back and play. But you can play only if either the overs or the time is left when you went off. And also that the batting side has not completed innings because naturally somebody there has to be a batter to come. There has to be a batter to come. In all these cases where you are unable to resume, all you can is in the hands of the umpires is to change the result of the match. What was a win, a loss by a side can be changed to a draw. That is how it can be done. All right. Once the umpires have agreed with the scorers, the correctness of the scores at the conclusion of the match, the result cannot thereafter be changed. It is their decision finally that this is now the result and it will remain like that. Nobody has the authority to change it. Nobody has the authority to change it. Okay. Now we come to one of the critical laws, the over. We had visited this law. We know that this is six ball. Earlier it used to be six or eight. It was a choice. Australia used to follow an eight ball over, but now it is uniform. Yeah, six ball over always, anywhere, all around, all over the world. Now we had visited this law when we were discussing the follow-on rule. And over has started when the bowler starts his run-up, her run-up, or if there is no run-up, starts his or her action for the first delivery of that over. First delivery, that is when the over begins. Now here is a critical law. I would like you to look at this law very closely. Only valid balls shall count towards the six balls of an over. So we will come to see what do they mean by valid balls. What do they mean by valid balls is what we are going to learn here. A ball shall count as one of the six valid balls only if it is delivered. Only if it is delivered. If the ball is not delivered, it will not count. Whatever else may happen. If it is in the opinion of the umpire, the ball has not been delivered. So there is no way you are going to count it. Remember, I will. You might even add the word properly delivered. You might even add the word properly delivered for better understanding. The every delivery of yours has to undergo scrutiny. Like if you are drawing a what do you call it, flow chart. The first check in the flow chart is, does the umpire consider this ball as properly delivered? That is the first check. If it passes this check, everything else follows. If it doesn't pass this check, it's a dead ball right there. It's a dead ball. Nowadays, unfortunately, too many deliveries which I would have considered calling dead are passing scrutiny, and either they can land this way, here and there and everywhere, and are called no ball, and a free hit also is given. We'll look at some videos about it. But remember, this is the first check of every delivery that is bowled from your end. I will substantiate this when we come to law 21 also. All right. Only if it is delivered, even though as in law 38.3, the non-striker leaving his crease early, a batter may be dismissed or some other incident occurs without the ball having been delivered. So even if it will still not count, even though a run out has occurred of it or some other event has occurred on that particular ball. If it is not delivered, then it will not be counted at all. It will not be counted. Okay. Now, these are not words which I have inserted. The law says a ball which is delivered by the bowler. Again, the emphasis is that it is delivered by the bowler. So I say properly delivered by the bowler shall not count as one of the six balls of the over. If now a ball further, which is delivered by the bowler, after it has passed this first level of scrutiny, it will still not count in the over if the ball is called dead or is considered dead before the striker has an opportunity. This is the golden rule. The striker should have had an opportunity to play the ball. One thing, properly delivered. Second thing, striker had an opportunity to play the ball. You will count that delivery. You will count that delivery. Check one, properly delivered, and the striker had an opportunity to play that ball, you will count that delivery. That is the general rule. The magic rule is this. But to this rule, they have given some exceptions. They have given some exceptions. When you should, even though he has received the delivery, had an opportunity to play the ball. In fact, in some cases, actually scored runs over it. You will still not count the ball. We will look at those examples. First, remember that it has to be properly delivered, and the ball will not count if he did not have an opportunity to play it, except will count if he had an opportunity to play it, except uh, under law 20.4.2.6, striker is distracted while facing a delivery from outside noise or movement. Now the ball has reached the striker, he had an opportunity to play it, but you have called it dead under this particular law. Even though he had an opportunity to play it, that is why it is an exception to the general rule. So the law says, except in this case, you will not count. You will not count the ball. Secondly, law 20.4.25, the striker is not ready to take strike and he has backed off that ball, that ball, and uh, this ball will not count in the over. Why? The ball had reached the striker. He had an opportunity to play it, but it will still not count. So therefore, you have called it dead. So these are two instances which are there. All right. These two instances, 20.4.25 and 20.4.2.6. And we can readily understand a no ball and a wide. Why they are exceptions? The general rule that he has played the ball, he had an opportunity to score, but no ball and wide ball will not count. So we have got four instances where the ball will not be counted even though the striker had an opportunity to play it, will not count. We have four instances the law gives us. No ball and white ball we can readily understand. Remember, also law 20.4.25 where we call dead ball immediately, and also for 20.4.2.6 where we call dead ball immediately. There is a big bang in the boundary, in the pavilion. Dead ball is called. This ball will not be counted in the over. He had an opportunity to play it, but this ball will not be counted. There was a very good instance of this example of this which happened recently. I'll show you that video. This law was applied beautifully in that particular instance. Now, under law 4.20.4.2.5, the striker is not ready to take strike. He has backed off and you have called dead ball. He had an opportunity to play it. The ball reached him. So that is why these are the four exceptions which are there. Besides that, when any of the following actions covering certain illegal actions of the fielding side is applied, the ball shall not count of the over, part of the over. These are four illegal actions of the fielding side. Four illegal actions where it is specifically said as a measure of increasing the level of punishment to the fielding side by allowing the batting side an extra ball. The law there, all of these four laws say the ball shall not count in the over. Suppose there is a player returning without permission, player returning without permission. Uh, the striker has had the opportunity to score. In fact, he has hit the ball. They have run three, and this illegal fielder has fielded the ball. Therefore, he is now punished. The fire and penalty is given. Under this law is stated the ball shall not count it though, as a measure of additional punishment to be given to the fielding side because of seriousness of the offence. These four offences are considered more serious than some of the others, in so much as that one extra ball is also given in addition to the fire run penalty. Illegal fielding is another case. If I field with my cap, the batter had an opportunity to play. He in fact ran runs before the fielder fielded the ball with his cap. Even then, this ball will not be considered a valid ball. this ball will not be considered a valid ball. Deliberate attempt to distract the striker. The ball has reached him, and you're calling dead ball and penalizing the fielding side. This ball will not be considered as it is an exception to the rule. And lastly, deliberate distraction and deception and obstruction of the batter while they are running. They are actually running. They have run two, three. In the fourth run, the fielder obstructs the batter as a measure of it, even in this case. So they've actually taken runs. But even in such a case, that run will not be counted. So what we have is the general rule being that it has got to be delivered, otherwise we will call it dead ball. If you allow that ball passes scrutiny, then comes the second rule that before the striker has an opportunity to play it, shall not count if so. Once he has had an opportunity to play it, it has got to be counted. It has got to be counted, except no ball wide we can readily understand. 20.4.2.6 are two exceptions where you call dead ball, and these four illegal actions. So there are eight exceptions. These four illegal actions where the law specifically says that runs the ball will not be counted. Even though now, as you see, that is why they are an exception to this general rule, opportunity to play. If there is opportunity to play, count the ball, except for these eight cases. Except for these eight cases. That is how the law has been stated. Any deliveries other than those listed in 17.3.1, 17.3.2 shall be known as valid balls. Leaving aside these, they will all be valid balls. They will all be valid deliveries. Okay? Uh, I'll repeat this there once again, that the golden rule is you will count the delivery if he had an opportunity to play it. Always. Except no ball, white ball, opportunity was there to play, still not counted. Opportunity to play it and score runs from it, still not counted. Two exceptions under these two dead ball laws are the ball reaches the striker, he had an opportunity to play it, even then not counted. And four illegal actions where the law says, again, in all these cases, he actually scored runs. In the other two cases, he has not scored runs. Here, he has actually scored runs, but we still won't be counting it. No ball wide also, they actually scored runs, but we'll still not be counting it as a valid ball. All right? These are the exceptions. Now, only when six valid balls have been bowled and when the ball becomes dead, the umpire shall call over before leaving the wicket. Remember, when the ball becomes dead. This also indicates that the call of over does not make the ball dead. And that is why I always tell you that wait till the ball becomes dead. Never turn your back to a live ball. That ball you may consider in your mind, but legally it is not. You cannot consider the ball dead which is being thrown from the boundary line. It has to reach the wicket keeper and be finally settled, or reach the bowler be finally settled, or in other ways become dead. Then you call over and turn your back to it. Otherwise, you will create trouble for yourself by turning your back, calling over and turning your back to a live ball, and the ball comes and strikes your own wicket. You haven't seen where the non-striker was and all that, and you will land yourself in trouble. You cannot claim that I considered the ball as dead. How can you consider ball which is flying from uh, square leg to the bowler? You can't consider that ball as dead. All right. So always spend those few seconds extra. Wait for the ball to reach somewhere near close to the wicket where you can consider the ball as dead, and rightly or wrongly, but never in the air. Or call of over and call of time do not make the ball dead. Okay. Umpire miscounting. If the umpire miscounts the number of valid balls, the over is to be counted by as counted by the umpire shall stand. If he gives a 7 ball over or 5 ball over, you have to put up with it. You can't do anything about it. Okay. There is no way you should compensate in the next over. If having miscounted, the umpire allows an over to continue after 6 valid balls have been bowled, he may subsequently call over when the ball becomes dead even if that extra delivery is not a valid ball. So the law says, sorry, suppose by chance you have miscounted. During our time, there used to be a dispute among umpires. There was one body of umpires which said that suppose that ball is now you've counted 7, and you also called that ball uh, uh, no ball. Whether you should call over or we should give another ball was the question. Half the umpire said you cannot call over on a no ball, and the other half said that you can. Why should you compound your error? Now the law makes it clear that the umpire he has made an error in counting 7, that he has given a 7 no ball. Having given that no ball, he should not compound the error by now allowing a delivery after that no ball. The lawmakers say that you should be calling over there, even on a no ball. Now, they don't say on a no ball, which is not a valid ball, which is not a valid ball. So, it covers white ball also, no ball, white ball. It may be any of these deliveries, suppose in all these cases, it is the seventh ball. It is the seventh ball. The rule of giving one extra ball will not be followed. Suppose this is the seventh ball where this has happened. The player returning without permission has stopped the ball and been awarded a fire and penalty. The law says the umpire will not give an extra ball. The umpires will not give, even though the basic law says that no ball shall not count in the over. So we are agreed. It will not count. But this rule says that even if it is not a valid ball, even if that is not a valid ball, I will not make him bowl one more ball. So it applies not only to no ball and wide. It applies to those two dead ball calls. It applies to those 4 instances of uh, penalty. It applies to all of those. If those are the circumstances, these 8 circumstances, you will not, and it is the seventh ball. Therefore, you will not then go on and further and compound the error by giving one more ball. Is that part clear? Yes? Is that part clear? Are we clear about this?
Yes, sir.
Yes? So remember, it is not only referring to no ball and wide. It is all the types of invalid balls given there. It will refer to all of them. In all those 8 situations, you will not, uh, after having given this ball, these 8 situations arise, you will not go on and give another ball, just like in wide and no ball. Okay? Bowler changing ends. A bowler shall be allowed to change ends as often as desired, provided he does not bowl 2 parts or parts thereof consecutively in the same innings. We know it. He can change ends any time he wants. A bowler shall always finish an over in progress, unless he is incapacitated or suspended under any of the laws. If you stop a bowler in the middle of the over for some fault of his, another bowler has to come and play, finish that over. When an innings ends during the course of an over, unless season. So when an innings ends during the course of an over, it is an unfinished over forever in the record. When he is incapacitated or suspended under any of the laws, an over left uncompleted for any reason at the start of an interval or interruption, it shall be completed on resumption of play. As we have seen, 3 balls left, you have to bowl 3 balls and seven overs. It has to be those 3 balls have to be bowled. When an innings ends during the course of an over, the bowler is not expected to finish that incomplete over. Fine. An over is started once the bowler starts to run up to bowl the first ball. If for any reason a bowler is incapacitated while running up to deliver the first ball of an over, or is incapacitated during an over, the umpire shall call and signal dead ball. The over has started. Now, once the over has started, now necessarily somebody else has to come and bowl that ball. The over, complete that over. If a bowler, if a bowler is incapacitated or suspended during an over, another bowler shall complete the over from the same end, provided he or she does not bowl two overs consecutively. He shall also not be allowed to bowl two parts of each of two consecutive overs in the same innings. So naturally, that bowler like Kohli bowled today uh, when Hardik Pandya was injured and he left in the middle of the over. The condition being that Kohli should not have bowled the previous over or part of it, and also he cannot be the bowler bowling from the other end. Now he cannot bowl and बोला ये मैंने इसके लिए किया तो वो उधर अपने हक में कर रहा हूँ. He cannot do that. He is now precluded from bowling the next over also because he has bowled a part of this. So naturally we know this. So today's game had an example of this situation where another bowler completed. So the condition is that the replacement bowler we should not have bowled the previous at the previous end, the previous over from the other end, and he cannot bowl the next over also from the uh, other end or even part of it. Suppose there another bowler got injured, Kohli can't bowl the part over latter part of that over there. So he can't be your makeshift bowler for the other end now because then that means consecutive overs के दो parts डाल दिए. So he is precluded from doing that. Either the complete over there or the part over there. He is precluded from doing that. All right. So he shall not be allowed to bowl parts of each of two consecutive overs in the same innings. Fine. Is that clear? The more important parts here were, if I may repeat, I will substantiate my point where the ball, each ball, every time the bowler passes you, uh, your head must tell you that this is a properly delivered ball. Everything else will follow after that. Remember that. I'll substantiate this to you. You store it in your mind for the time being, and I'll come back to it. And a ball which has been delivered, which has passed your scrutiny, will not count as one if the ball is called dead, considered dead before the striker has had an opportunity to play it. These are the two examples of being called before he had an opportunity to play it. So therefore, the other side is that if he has an opportunity to play it, if he had an opportunity to play it, it will count. Except these two reasons, these two cases where you have called dead ball before the ball sort of reaches him, no ball and white ball, and those four instances of penal action. Even though he had an opportunity to play it, they will not count. Similarly here, umpire miscounting, you cannot give an even if that extra ball, even if that extra ball is not a valid ball, you cannot give that, like no ball and white ball. All right, and finishing an over in progress unless he is incapacitated or suspended, just because he has been hit for three consecutive sixes, first three balls. His captain cannot say that I want to change this bowler. No, the circumstances are that he should be incapacitated or suspended under any of the laws. Only then I will allow you to change him, not at your whim and fancy. You don't have that choice. Okay? And we incapacitation, the rule for this completion of an over, we know what are the conditions there. The same conditions apply for the overs during the last hour. Overs during the last hour. Earlier, during the last hour, it is always to be completed. Outside the last hour, it was not to be completed. It was taken as a complete over and left. But now it applies to both. For a long time now, it is, I think from the 1980 code, it has been both. Okay? Yes, any questions about this? Tell me. I was wondering if I could show you something. Now here, have a look at this particular delivery. Is this ball properly delivered is the question. All right. Where did the generally a ball is considered to be properly delivered if it is at that vertical point of delivery. You see, now in this particular case, where is the release of the ball? If you, it is somewhere behind his shoulder here. The release of the ball. Nowadays, the bowlers, they grip the ball with that knuckle grip and all that, and it releases and it results in these problems. And now, whether you will consider this as a properly delivered ball is the question. I'll show you some stills from this particular action. Now here, this is where the ball was released. Nobody bowls a ball. I would never have considered this a properly delivered ball. I would never have considered this a properly delivered ball. That ball would have been the first thing. Now, when the actual delivery position of the ball is arrived at, there is no ball in his hand. This is his actual most bowlers delivery point. Not this one. Not this one. You see that? So, nobody deliver. I would never have considered so therefore, if I do not consider this a properly delivered ball, no further action would have counted. Now, the action taken by the umpire was go and consult his colleague, and then he decided that he is going to call that is a no ball. Look at this. Look at the delivery. Sorry. See the point of release. Somewhere below his shoulder. And when it goes alright, this has been called no ball for height, no ball for height, and dead ball because the batter left his wicket to play the ball, which is which is something he cannot do now. Not wicket, rather the pitch. Entirely left the pitch. All right. Now the point is whether all of that follows or not is the question. Because I would consider this as not a properly delivered ball. We will come to the lot 21 also, and I'll come back to my point, this particular point, but I just wanted to show you an example of this. So all of these things, all deliveries, in fact, uh, you have to first decide whether or not the ball has been properly delivered. Whether or not the ball has been properly delivered. Now look at this something else just to reiterate the point, restate the point.
And I am gonna be just a face in the crowd. You're gonna
Here.
hear my
Now here
voice
I
when I
think
shout
this
it.
was
Just a
fairly
face in the
high
crowd. You're
that the ball was left his hand, fairly high.
just a face in the crowd. You're gonna
So
hear
you
my
can
voice
consider
when
this
I
to
shout
be a
it
fairly
out
delivered ball.
loud. It's my
Now
life.
ignore
It's
all this
now
other
or
action. I am just
never.
focused on only one
Right
thing,
the
where the
crowd.
ball was
You're
delivered
gonna
is the only point. Where the ball was released from. Generally, the ball, if it is released from a vertical position, very close to the vertical, you would regard it as otherwise he has lost control of the ball, and it would always be dead ball in the first stage itself. Other things don't matter. It does not concern me that in any way. It does not concern me in any way whether no ball is given to the batting side or whether they get a free hit. Nowadays, it has become very important for them that the umpire should call it no ball. I find that umpires are just not looking into this aspect. And let me show you the law here. Just for a minute, I'll just go visit law 21. All right. The no ball law. All right. Look at this law 21.7. Ball bouncing more than once, rolling along the ground or pitching off the pitch. We saw that. The umpire shall call and signal no ball if a ball which he considers to have been delivered, which he considers to have been delivered. I must emphasize this. Which he considers to have been delivered. Bounces more than once or rolls along the ground, वगैरह, pitches wholly or partly, वगैरह वगैरह. So again, if a ball which he considers to have been properly delivered, so again they say that even though it is stated in law 17 in this particular case, in all the cases where the ball bounces more than once, roll along the ground, or which is the symptom of a wrongly delivered ball, but the check is applied right in the beginning. The check is not applied after looking at the ball. The way the law is said that after the ball pitches bounces to more than once, you think of the time of delivery. No, actually, you have to the check has to be applied earlier when the bowler is right next to you, not when the bowler is ahead and when the ball has behaved oddly. That is not where the check is to be applied. The check is first. So therefore, in all cases, the first check, regardless of anything else, is that the ball is properly delivered. Here, this law specifically says it. This law specifically says it in the case of the three occasions where no ball is to be called. But if he considers that the ball has not been delivered, he will call dead ball and will not call no ball. Will not call no ball. That is how the law is. We'll discuss this further because we were discussing this point. I thought I might mention it just to make my make my point clear. Okay, we will see other examples. Yes, somebody was saying something. Yes.
Yeah, I had an experience, Mr. Singh. A few
Yes.
weeks ago, I was umpiring. I was the main umpire, and
Yeah.
then bowler runs in, and he supposedly delivered the ball, and he went forward, but I could not see the ball. I mean, there's no ball going forward, and
Yes.
everyone lost the ball, including myself, keeper, bowler himself. Everyone lost the ball, and
Yeah.
then so I immediately called dead ball, and then
Yes.
about a few seconds later, ball comes back down to earth and drops at the point,
Okay.
and
Yes.
it stops there, right? So what would be since I already called dead ball, can I go back and call no ball because it was
No. 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 See, there is a general misconception that if the ball goes forward,
yeah,
you should this applies. No, this won't apply. There is nothing in the laws that properly delivered ball improper. It has to go backwards only. Then you can do it. What does this particular law say? Does it talk about uh, in all these cases bouncing more than once? The ball is forward. The
right,
ball is forward. Rolling around the ground. The ball is forward. Pitching of the pitch. The ball is forward. See, it is
right,
pitching of the pitch. In all
yeah,
these cases, this applies. if which
So
is which considers to. So what you have done, again I will reiterate what I had said. The check is when the bowler is here next to you, not at that time looking at where the ball is. No, what you did was the right thing. Your instinct was you didn't know see the ball at all. That ball. Now it doesn't matter that the ball has reached the skies and then comes down and has landed at point. No, and this is a general misconception that you will consider it a properly delivered ball if the ball is going forward. No, what you
so
did was the right thing. Yes, what
yeah,
you did was the
but
right thing.
right, but in my case, I mean, we did realize ball went forward, and so it dropped at point field near the point fielder. So, I mean, in the hindsight, should I have called no ball? Because I didn't think once the dead ball is called, the play is done. I mean, there is no more
It's
play
done,
after.
it's done. Over, absolutely over. There is
Okay,
no way you're going to do anything else.
okay,
Dead
all
ball.
right, okay.
And that, see, this law, all of these calls of no ball under law 21.7, which will apply in your case, ball pitching outside, and even the one with height of the ball, all are precluded by this one particular thing. You consider the ball as not properly delivered. All of those no balls don't count. All of those no balls don't count. All of those no balls don't count. This is generally stated in Law 17. Here it is specifically stated. Here it is specific, which he considers to have been delivered without having this so and so. Bounces more than once. So your first check is here. So in your case, you have a very good example of it. You call dead ball because according to you, that was not a properly delivered ball. Everybody lost sight of it. And I'm sure in this case, he must have released the ball. Somehow the ball must have lost. He must have lost control very early in the delivery swing, and you considered it as a ball not properly delivered. So naturally, you will not, because you do not consider it to be a properly delivered ball, you will not call and signal no ball. Correct? Is that fine?
Yeah, that is a great point, actually. Yeah.
Yes. If because you do not consider it a properly delivered ball, you will not call it a no ball. That is why I say once you do that, once your view is it is not a properly delivered ball, immediately dead ball, no ball and all will not follow. But unfortunately, we are having seeing a lot of them. I'll show you some videos. People are not checking this, like it wasn't checked in this particular example. Nobody releases the ball here. Nobody releases the ball here. So this he lost control of the ball, and therefore it is not a delivered ball, and therefore that no ball and dead ball shouldn't have counted. Shouldn't have counted. Wasn't a properly delivered ball at all. That simple. That simple.
You mean that should have been a dead ball
Yes,
from
yes.
the moment, right? Okay.
I would have called dead ball always. 100 times out of 100, that would have been a dead ball with me. And many deliveries. I show you the videos, I'll show you that some you can be a little liberal uh, despite the behavior of the ball, disregarding the behavior of the ball, as long as the ball is released at or very close to its vertical angle, the actual point of delivery, then you consider it that. Now there is another example I'll show you of a ball which Jadeja hit it into the ground just 5 feet ahead. It was carried as valid delivery. In all probability, you could have called it it was in a test match, called it dead. So, but the law says now it can be quite subjective at times. It can be quite subjective. Something that you might think that is not a properly delivered ball, others might think it is a properly delivered ball. It can be quite interpretation can be quite subjective. But remember that the law wants you to examine every ball to see that it is a properly delivered ball. To see that it is a proper. Everywhere you will say a ball is fairly delivered and this not here. Uh, Give me a sec. If the ball is delivered, if the ball is delivered, all right. So again, we talk about delivered. Here, bouncing more than once, ruler pitching of the pitch. Here, which he considers to if a ball which he considers to have been properly delivered. Uh, if a ball delivered by the bowler comes to rest in front of the line of the stackers, again, it is there. I didn't put it there. It is there in the laws. Only thing is we don't see it. Ball delivered by the bowler. If you consider it is not the ball properly delivered by the bowler, all of those things do not count. Coming to rest and all that. Coming to rest.
Um, how do you judge if a
Yes.
ball is properly delivered? For example, I give you example like there are bowlers like a Pathirana and Malinga, right?
Yes.
They have weird action. At times, it's hard to judge if they're really delivering at the a vertically high arm or somewhere behind.
No. Vertically in the sense I mean, look at it vertically, not from behind the bowler. Look at it vertically from the sideways view. This is
Okay,
from
right.
this height, his maximum height. Now he may bowl from here. Um, uh, uh, Bumrah is bowling from here. Malinga is bowling from here. It is the sideways vertical angle, not behind the bowler vertical angle. You can't look at it this way and this way. Malinga bowls from delivery from here. You don't look at this is perfectly all right. It is a properly delivered ball. But then if Malinga releases the ball somewhere here, it gets released here behind him. That means he's lost control of the ball. Similarly, the Bumrah, he loses the ball somewhere here, and the ball goes up and then comes down in front of the towards the batsman. So all of these deliveries uh, all depends on the action of the particular bowler that he has before he reaches his delivery point. Vertically, not from this angle, vertical from the sideways angle. You look at it from that sideways angle. Reach the highest point of his delivery. Reach the highest point of delivery. And whenever you see that, and all of these laws, as I explained, tell you that the ball has to be delivered. Now, here in all of these cases, uh, see, bouncing more than once, it might be on the pitch itself because off the pitch, it is pitching of the pitch is a no ball. On the pitch itself, it doesn't matter. Once you have, doesn't mean that you will not have called dead ball. And the dead ball call should have come earlier. They are doing it in such a way, stating it in such a way that it will be something, an afterthought, and you should be doing it later. You don't go back and think about whether it was dead ball or not. No, you do it in the first stage when the bowler is next to you, like you did. You did not consider it as a valid ball. You called it a dead ball. Now it so happened that it went forward and it went and fell off the pitch. Doesn't matter. No consequence. That was a properly delivered dead ball. It was a properly given dead ball. No problem at all there. Get it? So we'll come to law 21. We'll discuss more about this. I'll show you some videos also. Many deliveries in international cricket are passing the scrutiny of the umpire in this regard. Where are the problems? Ball bouncing more than once. That is rare. Ball pitching outside the pitch. Nowadays we see that happening, and nobody is calling it dead. They are all considering it as valid deliveries, and therefore a no ball results and a free hit results. Why is that? Why are they ignoring law 17? Why are they ignoring actual law 21? The umpire has to consider that properly delivered ball before he can call that a no ball. All right, which they are not doing, as I see it. Okay. Now coming to law 18. Law 18 is a pretty long law, and there is something about law 18 that I want to tell you. I would not want you to break your heads reading through law 18, certain portions of law 18. There are two or three, four valid where you must read, which require explanation. What they have done in some parts of law 18, especially law 18.8, 18.9, 11, 12, they have all these provisions are there in the basic laws, like how many runs are given when caught is there, who will take strike when a batsman is out caught, all of that. They have brought everything from the various dismissal laws and put them in one basket. Or they have brought in from various other cases where the ball is called dead and put them in one basket and created one particular, brought them in one place. Now, if you go and read some of them, some of these laws, because there are laws, there are exception to that law, and there is an exception to the exception also. So reading it at this stage will be confusing for anybody who attempts to do it. Uh, Most of you are regular umpires, so when you go to the original laws, you will see what is given there. That same thing has been carried. Like for instance, uh, obstructing the field. How many runs will be scored when? What will be the run scored when obstructing the field? Batsman is out, given out, obstructing the field. The runs which have been actually completed. Okay. Who will take? Where do the batsmen go? The position which is there will be retained of the two batters. Now, all of these from different laws have been picked up in here. If I go to explain to you law 18 or that 18.10, 18.11, we will be discussing all the remaining laws, which will be coming to later. So, what I suggest is don't break your heads reading those intricate laws. Uh, I will be coming back to those laws when we see them in the laws. And to that obstructing the field, there is an exception, except where the catch is obstructed, then no runs will be given. So all of that they have brought that them all and put them under one basket for understanding or whatever. But they wanted them all there. But right now it is futile for us to read through them. It will be very confusing. So the parts which are not confusing and not brought from other laws, we will look at those. Okay, I'll tell you as I go along. I'll make clear what I'm trying to say. Now, a run is scored in three ways. Either it is a boundary or penalty run, or batters cross and make good their ground from end to end. Actual physical running, a boundary, we know all this. And now penalty runs. Runs accrue because of penalty runs, including no ball wide and the other penalty runs which we have, 5 run penalty runs for offenses. All right. These are the three basic ways where the batters cross and make good their ground from end to end at any time while the ball is in play. They are free to run, and that is how runs accrue normally. They cross over and make good their ground. Other details about boundaries, of course, we'll read in Law 19. Penalty runs, we'll read in Law uh, 18.6 gives the runs awarded for penalties, of course, but then the penalty laws apply in various places, come from various places, and 18.6 just brings them all together and puts them in one place. In 18.6, that is what they have attempted to do. Now, one thing which is important for us to know here is, as perhaps you might have read in Appendix 18, Appendix A, you might have read in Appendix A Where is it? Ah, run. A11 run. A run to be disallowed and run not to be scored, there is a distinction between the two, which you need to understand. A run to be disallowed is one that in law should not have been taken. Should not have been taken. It is not only to be cancelled, but the batters are to be returned to their original end. Very important. Whenever a runs disallowed, batters must return to their original end. That is the principle of law which we have to remember. And a run not to be scored is one that is not illegal but not recognized as a properly executed run. It is not a run that has been made, so the question of cancellation does not arise. The loss of the run so attempted is not a disallowance, and the batters will not be returned to their original ends on that account. Like runs, not short runs. One run is not scored. Whenever you call short run, one run is not scored. You will signal to the scorers 3 runs scored, 1 run is short. So, on account of this, solely on account of this, you will not return the batters to their original end. They will remain where they are when the ball becomes dead. Will remain where they are. Similarly, now this is from arises from what we have seen in Law 70, which is a reiteration. One thing which is stated here is one principle. Any provision in the laws that provides for disallowance of runs or for runs to be disallowed or run not to be scored or for the award of penalties in certain circumstances shall override any provision in the laws for scoring of runs or awarded penalties. If there is a conflict between two laws, one says allow, as all the laws will say that runs, they will say runs are allowed. But there is another law which says that runs will not be allowed. Now we have got a law which says that when batters cross over, runs are to be allowed. But the leg by law says that if he has not attempted to play the ball, runs will not be allowed. That law will prevail over this law. That law will prevail over this law. Wherever there is a provision for disallowance, the law which disallows will prevail over the law which is allowing. This is the general principle which is stated here. Like for example, we have ball hitting the helmet. Ball hitting the helmet is 5 penalty runs. But again, if it is a case of deliberate padding and the ball goes and hits the stump, that 5 run penalty is not to be given. That particular 5 run penalty is not to be given. That is what the law says. So therefore, remember always there is one law which says do not allow. This law says allow. The one which says do not allow shall prevail over the one which allows. Okay? Penalties or runs, whatever. This is a general. This will become clearer as we go along. This will become clearer as we go along. Whenever runs are disallowed under any provisions of the laws, whenever runs are disallowed under any provisions of the laws, the 1 run penalty for no ball and wide shall stand and 5 run penalty shall be allowed. All 5 run penalties will be allowed. Even if disallowance of runs is there, all punishments, all 5 run penalties are punishments. Remember that. And we saw in Law 42:17 that all sins must be punished. He must bear the penalty for all his crimes. So therefore, even if physical runs have been disallowed, the 5 run penalties will stand, except for the penalty runs under Law 28.3 helmets belonging to the fielding side. Now, about this particular penalty, if you look at this, if you look at all the 5 run penalties, you will notice that Law 28.3 protective helmet, ball going and striking the protective helmet belonging to the fielding side is a little different from the other penalties. Is a little different in 2 ways. One thing is it is not actually an unfair act which is being penalized. It is just an occurrence, a chance occurrence that the ball has gone and Nobody, there is no deliberate act involved in anybody's case. The ball has gone and struck the helmet of the fielding side, which is placed behind the wicket keeper. And also, uh, this law, this particular fire run penalty, whenever you award it, is never followed with a report to the authorities in recognition of the fact that it is not an offense. It is not an offense. So the difference between the two, it is treated more or less like the runs which have been run. So if a leg by is being attempted and the ball goes and hits the helmet, the two batsmen have crossed before the ball has gone and hit the helmet. You will return to these two batsmen to their creases. You will also not allow the fire run penalty. It is treated more or less like physical runs. Whenever runs are disallowed, it is treated more or less like physical runs taken. So that particular penalty is never given when runs are disallowed. Is never given when runs are disallowed. We'll again this point will repeat itself whenever we discuss each of the individual laws. We will look at them. I will reiterate, this point will be reiterated half a dozen times at least, and you will thoroughly understand what I mean by this. The penalty 28.3 will disappear. Whenever there is a disallowance of runs, this will disappear. If it has occurred, it will disappear. Otherwise, all other fire run penalties, none of them will disappear because you are instructed under law that all crimes must be punished. Whatever happens, even if the match is over, you have to still give that, award that punishment and make the report. That is what it says. Alright. Now, short runs. Coming to short runs. uh, if a batter fails to, what are short runs? Short runs are divided into two. Either they are unintentional short runs or they are deliberate short runs. Alright. The following applies. Uh, Short run. If a batter fails to make good his ground in turning for the further run, the preceding run is deemed to be a short run. When the batsmen are running, so they have to run at least 2 runs, and while turning for the second run, they have kept not placed there. One of them has not placed his bat properly, is within the crease, and he has turned back. Which is the run which is short? It is always the first run which is short, not the second one. Though technically both are short. The ending of one is short and the beginning of the other is short. Nobody denies it. But the law says the second run will count if it is completed. And the first run is the one to be given short. The first run is to be given short. That is what the law says. There is a reason for it. We will discuss that. Although a short run, the law concedes that although a short run shortens the succeeding one, the latter, if completed, shall not be regarded as short. There used to be argument that both should be given short and all that. The law makes it clear. Out of the two taken, the first run will be short. The second, if they make good their ground, we'll give that. Suppose the batter is run out on the second one count because it was never completed, and the first is short on account of short running. Okay. A striker setting off, they also go on to clarify that if a striker, a lot of strikers nowadays stand outside the crease while batting. Nowadays, maybe up to 2 feet, 2.5 feet outside the crease they stand. They are not required to tap their bat inside before running off, setting off for the run. The law says they can set off for the run from there also. There is no problem. They can do so without penalty. They don't have to tap the bat area ground behind the crease and then set off. No, they don't have to do that. So the law says that now these 2 points have been the subject of some discussion over the years. Now the laws have made it amply clear that the striker he can set off for his first run from outside also. There is no problem. And also the law concedes that technically both runs are short, but the second will count if the second will count if it is completed, and the first run you will give short. This is what it says. Now, coming to unintentional short runs, the following applies except in the circumstances of 18.5. Deliberate short, for in the case of deliberate short runs, this won't apply. So they have excluded it. The circumstances of 18.5, which are deliberate short runs. So we are talking about unintentional intentional short runs. We have seen this happen often enough that the batsman in their hurry, they fail to place, one of the two batsmen fails to place his bat inside the crease, and he runs back. And he runs back. And the umpires notice and he says, one shot, a short run, he'll say. And if either umpire sees a batter, it can be happen at either end. Sees a batter run a short run at his end, the umpire concerned shall call and signal short run as soon as the ball becomes dead, and that run shall not be scored. He will not call while the runs are being taken. As soon as the ball is dead, and that run he will not be scored. If after either or both batters run short, a boundary is scored, the short running shall be disregarded and the umpire concerned shall not call and signal short run. Okay? Naturally, that short running gets absorbed in the boundary line. We know it that the ball has reached the boundary. What does it? That short running matter? The short running doesn't matter. But now the law in this edition has also clarified. But if the boundary is as a result of an overthrow or willful act of a fielder, the short running shall not be disregarded. The short running shall not be disregarded. I'll give you an example. One example of the first law. 3 runs were taken by the batsman, of which one batsman was short at one end, then on the other end also he was short, but the ball went to the boundary. You would have, had the ball not gone to the boundary, you would have given only one out of the 3 which were attempted. 2 were short. But because the ball reached the boundary, where is the question of calling short? You give a boundary and call short, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Therefore, you will ignore the boundary. But now here is the case, the second paragraph says that the boundary is as a result of overthrows. The boundary is as a result of overthrows. Now, they have run 3, of which one is short. They have run 3, of which one is short, and an overthrow takes place, and the ball reaches the boundary. And the ball reaches the boundary. In that case, you will not ignore the short running, because when we come to that overthrow business, what you have to notice is, remember is, that runs taken at the time of the overthrow plus the boundary allowance will count. Therefore, it will be 4 plus 2. So you have to, out of the 3, you have to give 1 run short and count 2 and give the boundary allowance. So therefore, in that case, the law says that in this case, we will do another example when we discuss overthrows, boundaries and overthrows. That if the boundary is as a result of overthrows or willful act of a fielder, the short running shall not be disregarded. The short running before the throw. The short running before the throw cannot be disregarded. You will reduce. He is entitled, when you are giving runs, instead of 3, out of the 3 runs that they have actually physically taken, 1 is short. You have to exclude that. So therefore, this is what this law means. Then you give them 2 plus boundary. You will not give them 3 plus boundary. Yes, they ran short. In that's such a case. But otherwise, if it is in the same phase, that boundary or the running is in the same phase as the boundary, you look at it as 2 phases. Before the throw and after the throw. Look at it in 2 phases. The first one, in the first example, it is the short running is in the first phase and the boundary is also in the first phase. There is no overthrow. But if there is an overthrow, the running is in the first phase and the boundary is in the second phase after the throw, then you can't ignore the short running. You have to reduce those from 3, you will have to make it 2. That is what the law says. Alright? If both batters run short in one and the same run, this shall be regarded as only one short run. It is possible that both batters in the same run have regarded short, and you will have to count one as short in if it is the same run. Two batsmen either or to both run short in the same run. Now, if more than one run is short, then all runs shall not be scored. More than one run short, all runs shall not be scored. If there is more than one run short, the umpire shall inform the scorer as to the number of runs to be recorded. Now, what will happen is, suppose there are 3 runs taken. Suppose 2 runs are taken and both umpires have called one shot. How many short runs will be there? If 2 runs have been run and both umpires say short run, how many short runs will be there?
One.
Pardon?
One.
One. Because here this is a case where both batsmen in their respective ends have run short in the same run. Now there are 3 runs have been taken and both umpires call one shot. How many will be short?
Two.
No, not 2, not 1, because you will have to consult with each other. In such a case, both 3 runs have been taken and both umpires have called short run. Now you will have to consult with each other and decide in which run who was short. So you will have to decide how many runs are to be given, how many runs are short. Either it can be 1 or it can be 2 out of the 3. So you will decide, and accordingly then you will have to inform the scorers of the number of runs which are scored. Remember that the law says the number of runs when I say short and I tell him this, I mean that record 2 runs. I will not say too short. The scorer should also know this, that the signal from the umpire will always be for the number of runs to be recorded, not the number of runs short. Not the number of runs short. The scorers must also know this. This must be part of their learning. But in all cases, a lot of times the scorers in the matches that you might be umpiring may be a little indifferent, not fully qualified. So this is a fit case for you to make sure that the scorer has, you keep a watch on the running scoreboard to see by how many runs the score has gone up. Whether he has treated this as too short or two to be recorded will be clear from the running scoreboard. So keep an eye for something like this, a mistake on the part of the scorer. He may not know the law as you do. Though when we impart training to scorers, this is something we emphasize. The umpire is going to tell you how many runs to be recorded. He is not going to tell you how many runs to be cut. When I do this and I do this, score 1. Short run, but score 1. Out of the 3, score 1. Batsmen are not going to change ends, but score only 1. So that is what, this is something which is important that we have to keep in mind. And we will go on with deliberate short runs tomorrow. And if you have any questions, uh, I am here to deal with them about what we have done. We will be meeting on Saturday. Yes. Any questions on what we have done today? Yes? Yes. So if there are no questions, shall I stop the recording? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.